Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao and this is One News Now. The Philippine government welcomed the European Union's continued recognition of the certificates of Filipino seafarers. President Bongbong Marcos said that this was the first thing he discussed upon meeting with EU President Ursula von der Leyen in Brussels. Marcos Jr. vowed to exhaust all efforts to address issues of the maritime sector and to develop world-class seafarers. Meantime, Migrant Workers Secretary Susan Ople thanked the EU, adding that the country is looking forward to working with them. And for its part, the Foreign Affairs Department promised to elevate the country's maritime education, training, and certification system. On Friday, the European Union said that it will continue to recognize the certificates issued to some 50,000 Filipino seafarers. Recall that the EU had earlier notified the Philippines of violations to European maritime standards. In line with that, the Maritime Industry Authority or MARINA has promised to make improvements on the country's seafaring sector. MARINA's Industry Development Specialist Herbert Nalupa said they will continue working on the 6 areas that the European Union have pinpointed for improvement. He added that the EU's decision to recognize Philippine-issued certificates will benefit thousands of seafarers working in European ships.
Ipagpapatuloy po natin yung pagpapatupad ng mga improvement kaugnay po sa mga policies and regulations natin sa 6 na areas na kanilang nabanggit. Kabilang po dyan ng course design and development, sa monitoring po ng maritime institutions, sa monitoring din po ng onboard training, at kaugnay din po doon ng inspection sa kanilang equipment and facilities, at sa examination and assessment po ng competence ng seafarers.
We're gonna pause for a quick break, but One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us.
Just to recap, back in late December of last year and up to early parts of this year, we've been seeing very good numbers, very low positivity rates. But as of April 1, the 7-day positivity rate in Metro Manila increased to 4.4% from 3.2%. Now, it seems like it's not a big deal right now. Most of the positivity rates that we're seeing are still below 5%. But of course, we're tracking the trend that it is going up. And I'll give another example. Like in Benguet, it went up from 3.3% to 5.5%. In Isabela, it went up from 2.9% to 6.2%. Again, these are still relatively low numbers, very manageable. But the rate of increase is something that we're looking at with we're looking at closely because surges come from small spikes, and if this progresses even further, it could be something. We're not totally worried about it because globally, there's not a big concern right now for COVID. But we are tracking the numbers, and there could be an increase in infection over the coming weeks.
All right, and when you're talking about these numbers that you're studying, you are just studying basically numbers that have been officially reported, meaning these are people who are sick and have gotten tested for COVID-19, right?
That's absolutely correct, Sean. And just to give you, more concrete numbers. Right now, we're just testing about, on average, around 25 tests per day per 100,000 people in NCR. And in during the peaks of COVID, we were testing as much as 200 per day. Or in fact, we even reached 300 per day. So now it's just down to about 25. So I'm not talking about the number of positives. I'm talking about the number of tests that we're conducting. So comparing it to the peak of COVID, it's less than 1/10 now of what we were testing in 2022, in January 2022. So we're only testing 10%. So we're probably seeing only just 10% of the cases, or maybe even less. And we definitely do think that the number of cases, actual cases, are higher. The numbers actually higher than what we're seeing. So right now, nationwide, we're averaging about 246 cases per day. That's a 7-day average. It's up from about 185 just a week ago. And that's a 33% increase. And if you multiply that by 10, at the minimum, that will be already around 2,400. Maybe it's even higher than that. If we count the asymptomatics and those who undergo antigen testing. I mean, Sean, this is only just a product of the RT-PCR testing. It does not consider those who get antigen testing.
Right. Thank you for clarifying the context for us when we talk about these numbers. Dr. David, have you observed anything with regards to the severity of COVID-19 cases in the past few months? Like you said, testing has gone down. We're now at 1/10 from the peak of testing, at least RT-PCR testing. What that means is perhaps people have less severe cases and therefore feel a lesser need to undergo RT-PCR testing, which is still expensive.
That's probably correct, Sean. The cases are less severe now than what they were, especially during the Delta season in 2021, when it was most severe. So Omicron is generally less severe compared to Delta. And all these subvariants that we have seen, I think the prevalent subvariant right now in the country is XBB 1.5. And there's another subvariant that we're monitoring globally. It's XBB 1.16. So it is less severe. We haven't seen a rise in hospitalizations. And even the past year, from 2022, we haven't been in a situation where the hospitalization was nearing even moderate levels. So we're actually safe from there. But what does that mean? Does that mean we're all okay? Well, there are still people who will get severe COVID, and there are still people who die from COVID even if it's a very low number, we're averaging maybe around 8 to 10 deaths per day. That's quite low, but that means people are still dying. And if we can protect ourselves and prevent deaths from COVID, then why not? I mean, that would be the best way. So the responsibility is on us, but we can protect ourselves by wearing face masks, following health protocols. These are all voluntary, but
All right.
we don't need to please anyone. Right.
Right, always good advice, right? To follow minimum health protocols and, of course, mind your own sanitation. Now, moving on to other viruses, Dr. David, are you monitoring anything apart from COVID-19 these days? Of course, in the U.S., there's all these cases about Candida auris that they're monitoring. Are you guys, has this virus or fungal infection made it to your watch list?
Well, that one, we're still monitoring that. Anything that's not yet in the country, we're not yet super alarmed about, but we're definitely keeping a watch on these. Another to watch out for, Sean, is dengue, and dengue season's just around the corner. The dengue cases were low in 2020 and 2021. It went up in 2022, probably because of kids going back to school. But now with full face-to-face implementation, I expect dengue cases to rise even further. So that's another thing that we have to watch out for.
All right, and of course, it is the Holy Week, and the long weekend starts in just 2 more days. Dr. David, any special reminders to the public, especially those who have travel plans this coming weekend?
Well, and especially if their travel plans involve them visiting one of these places with a high positivity rate, like some places in Mindanao, which are seeing a spike in the positivity rate. I didn't mention that Misamis Oriental, but particularly Cagayan de Oro, they have about a 27% positivity rate. In Davao del Sur, it's now at around 7.7%, and in South Cotabato, it's 8.6%. And these may still continue to rise. So as always, I mean, although health protocols are not mandatory, they're optional, it is in our interest, and we shouldn't care about what other people think about us. Let's care about our health. Let's protect ourselves. We can always wear a face mask, even if there's just flu or something. Let's do whatever it takes to protect ourselves. We can also get ourselves vaccinated if that's an option for us.
All right, always good advice. Thank you so much for all those updates and for explaining the context of the numbers with us. Research fellow from Octa, Professor Guido David. Thank you, sir. Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. The Social Welfare Department and the provincial government of Basilan are handing out assistance to passengers of a fire-stricken vessel. The MV Lady Mary Joy 3 caught fire last Wednesday night, resulting in the death of at least 28 people. 7 of the passengers are still missing. Initial investigation shows that an electrical spark in a passenger cabin could have started the blaze. Farmers in Bangabon, Nueva Ecija are lamenting the low prices of tomatoes in their area. The farmers are asking the government for help as farm gate prices of the tomatoes in the province have dipped to just 3 to 5 pesos a kilo. Some planters have opted to skip harvesting altogether because of the glut. The PNP is deploying over 74,000 cops to ensure safety and security during the Holy Week and Ramadan. The PNP says 38,000 law enforcers will be deployed to increase police presence nationwide. An additional 39,500 cops will be keeping watch over major thoroughfares, transport hubs, terminals, commercial areas, and places of worship. One News Now will be back with the latest stories at 6:30 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.